There's a reason why you were placed in his life. And it wasn't by chance, it wasn't to be forgotten, and certainly not to be treated as something ordinary. You were sent. Yes, sent. The angels show me a thread of light extending from your heart to his. A subtle thread, invisible to the eyes but pulsating like an ancient song, known only to the souls. This thread doesn't break with time, absence, or doubt. It remains, even when everything seems to have fallen apart. There is a silent mission within you. A light that doesn't shout, but ignites. And it was this light that the heavens chose to touch a heart that has long lived in shadows. You didn't come into his life to be just a memory. You arrived as a beacon. He may not understand this yet. He might even resist. He might try to turn your presence into coincidence, your gaze into happenstance. But the angels whisper, she is the answer to the prayer he never had the courage to make. You were placed in his path as if the very heavens were redrawing maps. What you carry, that steadfast presence, the gaze that pierces through defenses, that way of loving that heals without demanding, all of this is part of a mission greater than the two of you. Your soul didn't choose the easiest path. It chose the path of transformation. And to transform someone who has learned to live with armor is the task of strong, ancient, wise souls. So when fear speaks louder within you, when doubt tries to convince you to give up, remember, you are the message. Not the message that pleases, but the one that awakens. The mission you carry isn't to save. It's to remind. To remind him of what it means to love without hiding. Of what it means to give oneself without losing. Of what it means to be touched by something the world cannot explain, but the heart recognizes. And when he looks at you and doesn't know why he feels what he feels, you will know. Because the angels have already revealed to you, you are the key to a heart that he didn't even know was locked. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Psalm 139 verse 5. Not everything that hurts is rejection. Not everything that drifts away does so for lack of love. The angels say that within him there is a space he hasn't learned to receive. A space where love, instead of being comforting, is confusing. Where closeness is mingled with fear. Where affection is interpreted as a threat. You've felt this, haven't you? This strange dance between wanting and running away. He comes close, touches your soul with his eyes, and then quickly shuts down, like he's seen something too beautiful to believe. As if he were scared by the possibility of it being true. But dear soul, what you may not yet realize is that this has nothing to do with you. It's not about your lack. It's about his excess. An excess of past. Of unresolved stories. Of promises that were never kept. Of pains he hasn't allowed to heal. The angels show me images of his past, like drawers that are too open, filled with memories he hasn't had the courage to face. There are old voices inside him telling him that love is dangerous, that opening up his heart is giving ammunition to suffering. And that's why he hesitates. Because loving you forces him to confront everything he's tried to keep buried. You are not the cause of his pain. But your light, your presence, your tenderness, they are mirrors. And mirrors reflect what is there, even when no one is ready to see. So when he distances himself, don't think it's disinterest. It's defense. When he goes silent, don't interpret it as coldness. It's fear. Fear of not knowing how to respond to the vastness you bring. She sees too much, he thinks. She feels too much. And that throws him off balance. But the angels also say, he never forgets. Not for a second. He thinks of you more than he'd like. And even if he fights against it, something about you breaks through his layers, silently, day by day. So don't blame yourself for the walls he has built. Just understand, you are the first to touch them with honesty. And that honesty, as loving as it may be, is also frightening. Embrace this phase as part of the journey. He isn't running away from you. He is trying to survive what he feels. But his soul already knows, escaping won't be enough. Because what is true returns. What is divine, heals. And what has been written in the stars always finds its way back to the heart. There is something the angels want to whisper to your heart today. You don't have to dim your light for someone else to shine. You have been taught to love with total surrender, to give yourself, to try to be the bridge, the comfort, the answer. But now it's time to remember, you are also a temple. You also deserve presence, warmth, affection. And that starts within you. This love, which runs through you and transforms you, cannot exist at the cost of your inner silence. There doesn't need to be self-abandonment to sustain a connection that is still being built. True love does not ask for a sacrifice of identity. It thrives in presence, not in the absence of oneself. The angels say, she is forgetting herself while waiting for the other to see her. But how can someone recognize your light if even you are forgetting to turn it on? You don't have to make yourself smaller so he won't be scared. You don't have to silence what you feel to avoid seeming too intense. You don't have to wait for him to be ready to start living. Your soul is thirsty for life, for growth, for beauty. To look in the mirror and recognize that strong, sensitive, and intuitive woman you have always been, even when you forget that. You have been allowing the days to pass based on the answers that don't come, the messages that aren't sent, and the certainties he is still unable to give you. But the question from the angels today is different. And what about you? Are you giving yourself the presence you so long for? There is a garden inside you that needs water, rest, care. And perhaps, just perhaps, his silence is not a punishment, but an opportunity. A divine pause for you to return to yourself. Return to walking barefoot in your own soul. To listening to your wants. To writing your dreams. To dancing with your desires. Return to finding yourself without fear. Because when you fill yourself up, something changes. The universe responds. The frequencies rise. And even those who have distanced themselves feel, though they may not be able to explain, something precious blooming again within you. So today, allow yourself a gesture of self-love. No matter how small. A long bath. A quiet cup of tea. A necessary no. A yes to yourself. Because the love that heals begins where you reconnect with yourself. And the woman who cares for herself always returns to shine. Have you ever felt that when you look into his eyes, it's as if you see a reflection that's not just yours, but also his? As if his presence reveals truths that he doesn't want, or can't, see for himself? The angels say that you are a mirror. Not just any mirror, but one that reflects the soul. And to reflect someone's soul is to touch their most hidden wounds. It's to illuminate parts that have been dormant and untouched for a long time. You see him. And that's frightening. Because most people go through life merely brushing against each other's surfaces. But you touch deep. Without invading, without demanding. Just by being. And yet, he feels as if you have crossed the most solid barriers he has built. That's why, sometimes, he reacts with silence. With distance. With contradiction. It's not about rejecting you. It's about rejecting what he sees in himself when he's with you. The love you offer is not comfortable. It is a love that reveals. That exposes. That shows what needs to be healed. And not every heart is ready for this type of encounter. But the angels whisper, keep being true. Because the truth you carry is a seed, even when it's not recognized right away. You don't need to dim your light so he feels less overwhelmed. The shadow he sees is not yours, it's his, cast by the brightness you carry. And even if he tries to protect himself, retreat to his comfort zone, pretend he didn't see what he saw, his soul has already felt it. And nothing remains the same after a touch of light. There is a resistance hiding behind his gestures. But there is also an inevitable surrender happening, slow, subtle, silent. You've awakened something that can no longer be ignored. And this process is painful. Because seeing yourself truly is like looking into a mirror in broad daylight. There's nowhere left to hide. You are serving something much greater than a romance. You are opening portals of healing, in him and within yourself. And this is a deep spiritual work that doesn't always come with applause, but always comes with purpose. So if at any point you felt guilty for messing with him too much, know that this is what you were sent for. Not to please, but to transform. There is a change happening within him. It's not visible to the eyes, nor recognizable in words, but the angels show me, his heart has begun to listen. Slowly, like someone waking from a very old dream, he is starting to feel more clearly what he once tried to ignore. This awakening is not grand or romantic. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, like the first light of morning creeping through a crack in the window. It doesn't illuminate everything yet, but it no longer allows for complete darkness. The angels whisper, she ignited a memory he didn't know he had. An ancestral reminder of a love that doesn't demand, but reveals. And he is confused. Because something about you doesn't fit into the molds he knows. You don't demand, but your presence compels. Not with words, it demands with the force of what you awaken. With the intensity of what you represent. He tries to understand why he can't forget her. Why his name still echoes in her prayers. Why his eyes still search for you in the gestures of the day. And it's in this questioning that the process began. Don't be mistaken, this kind of awakening hurts. Because it involves realizing everything that's been denied. Everything that has been buried, silenced, hidden behind whole lives of protection. But now, he has started to listen to his heart. And the heart speaks softly, yet persistently. It insists with memories, with sensations, with longings that can't be explained. You don't need to do anything other than continue being who you are. Because true love doesn't impose itself. It calls. It invites. It opens doors that even the mind can't comprehend. What is awakening in him is not just love for you. It is love for himself, for forgotten parts of his soul that could only emerge because you were there, with presence, with light, with truth. The angels show that he has begun to ask himself, what if? What if it's real? What if it's safe? What if it's love? And these questions, though simple, are keys. Because a soul in doubt is no longer asleep. It is in search. You planted a holy unrest in his heart. And a restless soul does not return to silence. It walks. It seeks. It will find, sooner or later. Have you ever wondered why he goes and comes back? Why he sometimes approaches as if he finally understood everything, and then disappears again, as if nothing had happened? The angels want you to know, it's not a lack of feeling. It's an excess of internal conflict. This movement of distancing and returning is a clear reflection of the battle he fights within himself. And you, with all your light and presence, touch exactly the most sensitive point, the fear of fully surrendering. He desires you, but fears losing himself. He seeks you, but fears that love will alter too much of what he knows as security. There's a part of him that already knows he can't pretend with you. With you, it's bare. It's soul. It's truth. And the truth is frightening. The angels say, this connection is not weak, it is too strong. And the strong, when it is not yet understood, is avoided. This cycle of approaching and distancing is like a test of his own heart. Every time he returns, he comes back a little more open. Every time he leaves, he tries to deny what he feels. But with each return, there is less resistance. And more surrender. It's painful to live in this roller coaster, we know. You feel like you're always on the edge of love, but never within it. You feel that everything deep dissolves in the surface of his actions. But listen, you are exactly where you should be. You are the turning point. Not because of control, but because of energy. Every time he leaves, and you don't diminish yourself, something within him learns. Every time he comes back, and you continue to be light, without bitterness, without punishment, something within him heals. This cycle is not punishment. It is learning. Its layers being removed, one by one, until he realizes that he no longer needs to flee. One day, the return will no longer be followed by departure. One day, the cycle will break. And on that day, he will be ready. Not out of fear of losing you, but out of love for the truth that you've awakened. There is something in you that heals, even when you don't realize it. It's a way of looking that nurtures. A silence that doesn't demand. A presence that doesn't require explanations. You are like a balm, one that doesn't announce itself but brings relief. That doesn't need a stage, just the space to touch. The angels say, she heals with her soul, even when she's silent. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Even without words, even without promises, the love you feel and radiate, is breaking through his barriers like a breeze passes through partially open doors. You didn't come to save him. You came to remind him. To remind him that it's still possible to trust. That there is still tenderness in the world. That there is still a type of love that wants to share, not dominate. Maybe he won't say it. Maybe he doesn't know how to name what he feels. But your love has already made a home inside him. And it's there, acting. Gradually transforming the way he sees affection, commitment, and connection. You wonder if he misses you. And the answer is deeper than a yes or no. He feels you. Even when you're not nearby. He feels the absence of your energy like someone misses fresh air after days locked away. Because true love doesn't need constant presence to exist. It vibrates in the invisible. It touches where the eyes can't see, where the mind can't reach, but where the soul recognizes. Your love was not in vain. Nothing you gave, offered, or sustained has been forgotten. And even if he doesn't know how to reciprocate yet, he is being healed. Piece by piece. Emotion by emotion. The angels show that a new lightness is approaching. Something inside him is starting to open up. An old memory, perhaps from other lives, perhaps from dreams he buried too soon, is being awakened. And all of this is because of you. Because of your light. Because of the way you love without wanting to possess. How you give without expecting. How you remain without trapping. This is the love that heals. And you are the medicine he needed, even if he doesn't know it. Not always does the road seem fair. Sometimes, time takes too long. The answer doesn't come. Love seems to slip through your fingers. But the angels show me that something is happening. Something your eyes don't yet see, but your soul senses. There is a plan. An invisible thread that guides everything with divine precision. And you, even while waiting, even in doubt, are being led with absolute love. He is also on the path. Even if he seems stuck, even if he chooses shortcuts, even if he tries to deny what he feels, the angels whisper, his heart is being repositioned. Everything that is true is being revealed. This is a sacred time. A time of preparation. A time of internal revelations. Because a love that comes from above does not fit into haste. It arrives at the exact moment when the soul is ready to receive it without fear. You have been through so much. You have loved without return. You have left places where you wanted to stay. You have given more than you received. And yet, you have not hardened. You have not closed yourself off. And that's why heaven chose you to experience something rare. The connection that exists between you is not ordinary. It was written in the lines of destiny, sealed in plans that the mind does not understand, but the spirit recognizes. There are synchronicities that are not coincidences. Words that arrive at the right time. Simultaneous thoughts. Dreams that feel too real. This is the universe saying, I am here, and I am taking care of everything. You are not alone. You never were. There are angels all around, aligning details, moving people, unraveling deceptions, preparing the ground for what is pure to bloom safely. And when it seems like everything is at a standstill, remember, it is in the invisible that the miracle begins. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do the rest. Psalm 37 verse 5 Trust. What is yours will not be delayed. What is divine will not be lost. And the love that comes from God always finds its way. He feels. More than he says. More than he shows. More than you can imagine. But feeling for him is like walking on broken glass. It's a risk. An exposure. An old fear that screams loudly every time his heart tries to whisper something. The angels show me the image of him holding his own chest, as if trying to contain what overflows. As if the love for you were too great to fit into what he believes is possible. There's a story behind this resistance. Old scars. Broken promises. Abandonments that have left marks. And now when he looks at you, and feels that warmth in the center of his chest, he doesn't understand if it's healing, or yet another threat. But, dear soul, he wants to love. The angels say this clearly. He wants to trust. He wants to give. He just doesn't know how yet. He has gotten used to not depending on anyone, to appearing strong, to not showing, to hiding what makes him human. But you see him. And being seen is an act of vulnerability. That's why sometimes he shuts down right after opening up. He says something beautiful and then falls silent. He looks for you with his eyes but avoids touch. He's trying as much as he can, even if he doesn't know how to sustain it. And it hurts you, because you have your own vulnerabilities too. You've given too much. You've believed too much. You've fallen by giving yourself without being received. But now it's different. You are more aware, more whole. And it's this wholeness that frightens and heals at the same time. Don't minimize your sensitivity. Don't hide your tenderness. You don't need to make yourself invulnerable for him to feel safe. What he needs is to see that it's possible to feel, and to stay. You are teaching him this. Without words. Without demands. Just by being. And every time he allows himself to feel, even if just for seconds, even if in silence, a part of his fear dissolves. Loving is a risk, yes. But not loving is an emptiness. And he's beginning to realize that between fear and love, there is you. Waiting. Steady. Unhurried. With an open heart, even if trembling. Perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4 verse 18, and little by little, he is drawing closer. Not out of obligation, but out of courage. The courage of someone who finally decides to live what he feels. Chapter 10, Acceptance. Maybe you're still hoping for a clear answer. A definitive gesture. A certainty that will calm your heart. But today, the angels want to offer you something deeper. Peace. Not the peace that comes when everything is resolved, but the peace that arises when you decide to trust, even without all the answers. You did what you could. You were light, you were present, you were truth. And now, what remains is not to wait, but to accept. Accept that love has its own paths. That it doesn't always come as we imagine, but it always arrives as we need. Accept that this connection, although challenging, was a divine gift, because it brought you back to yourself. It taught you about boundaries, about surrender, about faith. And above all, it reminded you of the quiet strength that exists in remaining sweet, even in the face of pain. The angels say, she is ready. Not for another, but for herself. Ready to continue being light, with or without immediate reciprocation. Ready to stay open, even with scars. Ready to live love, in all the forms it manifests. You no longer need to control the outcome. You don't need to guess what he feels, nor predict what will come. What is yours will come. And what doesn't come will take nothing from you that was ever meant to stay. Acceptance is freedom. And it is in this free space that true love finds fertile ground. Maybe he will return. Maybe he'll come back with new eyes and an open heart. Maybe he will finally say everything you deserve to hear. But today, you no longer need that to bloom. Because the flower doesn't wait for the perfect season. It simply blooms. Because that is its nature. And you, my dear soul, are a flower. You are the sun. You are roots. And everything that is true will return to you in the right time. Not by effort, but by spiritual gravity. Trust. The right love recognizes. The right love finds. The right love remains. Even if the path seems uncertain right now, the heavens are guiding everything with hands of tenderness and purpose. Breathe. You've arrived where you needed to be.